I'm already fancying Celtic really strongly for the start of next season. I would look at it and say there's probably every chance that they'll either win another treble or get really, really close to another treble again next season. Because they are well run. They've got a terrific manager. Scott said Brendan Rodgers, the guy that's calling the shots, and they've already got a squad which is built to win trophies. Aye. And Rangers don't. So for that reason, I'm kind of contradicting myself there, because I'm saying for Celtic to win, any club to win a treble, it's a remarkable feat. And the problem that Celtic have given themselves, if you want to call it a first world problem maybe, but the problem they've given themselves is that the expectation levels around it, there are generations now, or at least a generation of Celtic supporters that hardly know anything else. It's just one trophy after the next, one triumph after the next, a treble after the next. And that can put an unreal sort of element of pressure onto Celtic that's unhelpful, because you know what, they're going along just fine.
Mm-hmm. We've had plenty of comments on Celtic's situation. Samantha here says Brendan Rodgers signing spent the whole season on the bench, except his 20 million duo, who didn't exactly set the world on fire. Signings haven't been great. He's relying heavily on signings. Big Ange brought in. This one as well, Dave says, get Kvistgaard signed. He's the real deal. He will make Ida look like the statue he is. On that, we've had stories in Record Sport Online regarding Celtic's striker search, which seems to be underway. Yusuf El Kachi is one player, apparently. He's in the second tier in Holland. Scored 23 goals this season for Telstar. He's one that apparently Celtic scouts were watching him on Friday. Kvistgaard obviously is the one that's been linked, feels like every day. He appeared to say goodbye to Brøndby in his what looks like his final game at the weekend. I mean, the striker, Scott, is it the striker that's crying out for Celtic to sign?
I'm not sure, Daniel. I mean, I'm sure they'll be looking at strikers, and Brendan Rodgers being Brendan Rodgers, I'm sure we'll want to add another forward to his squad. But you need to remember, Maida's been a revelation at centre forward for them, and the guy who's behind him was a 10 million pound signing in Ida. Obviously, both of those guys were disappointing on Saturday, like most of the Celtic team. I thought Ida was poor the whole game, if I'm being honest. After I was sticking up for him on here last week, but don't think he did himself justice in the cup final. And Maida obviously misses a great chance near the end to go and win it. So it wasn't a great day for them. But I don't know. I mean, I don't see Celtic spending big money on another centre forward with Maida and Ida already there. I mean, unless they decide Maida's going back to playing wide every week and they need somebody, a different type to Ida, maybe going back to a Maida Kyogo type, just to add to their kind of their firepower. But I'm not sure it'll be the absolute priority for Brendan Rodgers. Just going back to Celtic, I mean, I totally agree with everything Keith says just about the expectation levels and all that. I mean, I think it is a dangerous place to get into. I mean, I was at the game on Saturday. Definitely that feel about it that Celtic fans just expected to turn up and win. No, Aberdeen fans outsung them for 90 minutes. Actually, no. I know some Celtic fans that were there with like young kids and that. And they were like, they just couldn't believe they were walking away from Hampden with a defeat because they've never experienced it before.
How did that happen?
It's like this isn't meant to happen. So as a kind of generational thing, and Callum McGregor, I thought was really good after the game, as he always is. I mean, he was obviously devastated with the penalty miss, but he kind of fronted up and just a couple of the quotes. He spoke about how they're obviously hurting at the time and it'll take a bit of time to get over, but it was a reminder for Celtic, for the players, I think for the fans especially, that you need to earn every success you get. You need to earn every trophy you get, and Celtic didn't earn it on Saturday. It's as simple as that. And he actually touched on the League Cup final by suggesting they almost kind of get away with one, because I think most people even that day felt Rangers were probably the better team over the course, but then Celtic obviously prevailed on penalties. So it's obviously a sore one for them just now, but I think the big picture, no, it might actually do them no harm. Just that wee reminder that you can't, despite having the best squad and the best players, the most money, you can't just turn up and expect to win trophies. No, you're doing it to earn it, and they didn't do that on Saturday.
That was Brendan Rodgers' word, Scott, about earning it. You need to earn it. And, he's always on point, isn't he, with his messaging? And you can tell that that's something that he's hammered home in that dressing room. And then you've got the likes of, Cal McGregor coming out and repeating it. Because Brendan Rodgers is already beginning the process of, we're not going to make that mistake again next season. You boys better be on your toes. You boys better be ready. And that's the constant sort of the way the machine just keeps ticking over. It's good man management. He's getting his messages out to them, and he's going to let them go away, take a break with their families and the sun. But that message will be front and centre of their mind. And you can bet that Celtic will come back revigorated, determined. They know something's happening across the city. Nobody's got a clue what that's going to look like right now, but it's something. And I would expect Celtic really to rise to the challenge. Unlike Scott, I fully expect Celtic to sign a striker. I think that, one of the points, if there's an accusation of complacency you could throw at Celtic, and maybe there is that when they did allow Kyogo to leave, they didn't have anybody else lined up in the January. So they were effectively a striker down, and their best striker down for the second half of the season. Is that complacency? Perhaps. Was it a little bit of arrogance? Maybe. Whereby they thought, well, we're so far in front anyway. We don't need to have anything lined up. I think that's a mistake, and I don't think it will be repeated in the summer. Fitzgarden has been on the list of targets for a number of years now, a number of seasons. In fact, Celtic, when they were initially interested in him, I think it was Mark Lowell had identified him. So we're going back a bit, and I think he would have been available then in the region of £6 million. But you can forget that. Bromby will be, somebody will need to bust the bank a little bit to get him out of there, although we fully expect that somebody will. So our Celtic, and it comes back into the conversation we've had over the last few nights, Daniel, where what's Celtic's approach look like in the transfer market? Is it a continuation of this recent trend where Brendan Rodgers gets to push the boat out and spend a little bit more money than Celtic would previously have spent on particular targets? Or is it a diverse? Are they going to go back the other way, back to the model which has been so successful and so lucrative for them over the period, which is, speculate to accumulate, rather than spend £9 million on one player, spend £3 million each on three, and spread the sort of risk factor? Because it's a difficult one, as I've said previously. If you're sitting down for an end of season appraisal with Brendan Rodgers in the boardroom right now, I think that is a genuine, legitimate question. You would say, Brendan, if we wanted to sell Adam Ida and Arne Engels tomorrow, would we get our money back? And I'm not convinced that they would at this minute in time.
See, sorry, Scott, but just to go back to the entitled sort of idea that you were putting up there, Robert, I put that comment up a minute ago. They didn't need to replace Kyogo. The season was done anyway. I mean, it wasn't, they didn't win the treble. So, and that kind of speaks to the point you're making, Scott. I think there's a lot of Celtic fans that just kind of thought, just breezed away with another sweep.
I was just going to say, in terms of talking about who they need to bring in, and strikers and all that, I mean, if Maida is now a striker, a centre forward, and Brendan Rodgers has said he's always known that he was a centre forward. If you think Jota is going to be injured for a good chunk of next season, certainly at the start, we're talking about maybe January at the least. James Forrest coming into the last year of his deal, obviously getting towards the kind of end of his career. Yang, who came on at the weekend and was really disappointing. I just don't think he's up to the standard required at Celtic. I don't know whether they'll look to move him on, but not up to it. And Kuhn at the start of this season was obviously outstanding. I mean, we're talking about him player of the year up until the new year. I think he's getting so far off the boil, Kuhn. It's been incredible towards the end of the season. And it was the same story again on Saturday. If you take all of that into consideration, I think the priority will be wide players for Brendan Rodgers.